Hello, Temple and all of Central Texas. Thank you so much for joining us. We are very excited to broadcast this year's American Heart Association One Heart Bell County, and we are so thrilled, of course, to have you joining us this afternoon.
Absolutely. One Heart Bell County celebrates the achievements in heart disease and stroke research. Heart disease, after all, is the #1 killer of Americans, while stroke is the 5th killer. Now, with your help, the American Heart Association can continue to build a healthier community and longer lives for everyone.
Absolutely. It's something we have to live with, but we're trying to live with more and more quality all the time through technology. 2020 was certainly a year like no other that we've experienced, but the American Heart Association still standing like the rest of us, and there's nothing we can't achieve when our community really does come together for an event like today.
COVID, heart disease, stroke, we will not let those things get us down. It is time to take action, and tonight you will get a chance to do just that. Before we get started, though, I want to turn it over to our presenting sponsor of this year's event, Chairman of McLane Group, Drayton McLane.
Welcome and thank you for joining me and the American Heart Association for One Heart, Bell County. In the next hour, we would like for you to consider making a donation to this worthy cause. It can make a true difference for many, many people in Bell County. Please sit back and enjoy One Heart, Bell County, presented by McLane Group. Thank you.
This is news breaking from the American Heart Association. We are announcing it for the first time right here.
We're back now with a new warning today from the American Heart Association.
De los Estados Unidos, la doctora Regina Benjamin, miembro directivo del American Heart Association.
Case studies indicating COVID may lead to heart attacks. Joining me right now is Dr. Mitchell Elkin. He's president of the American Heart Association.
So have you joined the Boss Family workouts recently with Twitch and Allison? I mean, we love those two, from So You Think You Can Dance, Ellen, and Dancing with the Stars. But now they have teamed up with the American Heart Association.
It's Live with Kelly and Ryan.
Years ago, the American Heart Association revised their out-of-hospital CPR protocol, and it's called hands-only CPR.
She's now sharing her story as part of the American Heart Association's Don't Die of Doubt campaign.
This is all about the American Heart Association's Healthy Bond for Life.
Late today, the American Heart Association putting out an advisory to pediatricians. As sales of marijuana soared during the pandemic, a new warning from the American Heart Association.
Tonight, the American Heart Association sounding the alarm.
A new report from the American Heart Association.
Heart disease is the #1 killer of men and women here in the U.S. and worldwide. So when the American Heart Association puts out a scientific statement, people tend to pay attention.
Es importante comunicar y American Heart Association quiere comunicar.
Según la Asociación Americana del Corazón, hay 3 factores que contribuyen a padecer del COVID complicado o fatal.
And joining me is Dr. Mariel Jessup, the American Heart Association's top medical officer.
Dr. Michelle Albert is president of American Black Cardiologists. She's working with the American Heart Association to research COVID in Black women.
Dr. Larry Mittenall is an American Heart Association volunteer.
KITV4's Maleko McDonald tonight talks with the CEO of the American Heart Association about surprise medical bills.
This is why I love the American Heart Association. They step up in real time to address a need.
We've been involved with the Heart Ball for the last 3 or 4 years. I've got a lot of respect for the people who have chaired in the past and are good friends with those individuals. We also believe in a heart-healthy lifestyle.
We work hard at a heart-healthy lifestyle.
And we're also very active in several organizations in the community. We like to give back because the community's been good to us.
Just the basic fact that we're all alive today is something that gets me through all the time. I was born with a heart defect. I had open heart surgery when I was 5 years old. I was going to get a dance scholarship, so that was going to be my thing. I thought once I had my heart surgery, everything was fixed and I would just grow up with a normal heart. My favorite thing about John, he's always there for us. I love how much he loves me. Sorry.
Drove home with my buddy and I said, I'm going to marry her. And we're 25 years this year.
When John and I were thinking of having children, we went and did genetic testing and talked to cardiologists. They just said, you're fine, it's not genetic. Well, Chance started having symptoms where he'd be running around and he'd pass out. And so we had to do CPR on him a number of times. They had to call in Life Flight and bring him down to the hospital. That doctor came over and looked at the EKG from our room and said, there's an arrhythmia right there, that's a heart kid. And I thought, oh my God, here we go.
I've had my pacemaker for a while, after my heart stopped 4 times.
And then when we scheduled him for all these workups, I found out I was pregnant with Cadence. And he said, we're gonna have to do a fetal echocardiogram. And I thought, oh boy. And I went into labor at 22 weeks with Cadence, and I had to go down to the hospital. Well, the surgeon said, I think we have a chance at saving her, but you have to try to stay pregnant until you're 35 weeks. I had 10 minutes with her, and then they took her away to the hospital because she had to go on oxygen and get medicine. And then she went in, and it was a really long surgery, and they had to keep calling us and telling us, but then they brought her out, and it's devastating to see what you see. She had a stroke and a brain bleed. They had to open her chest without anesthesia and do heart massage. I felt so bad.
And the game plan that they had for her, for the 3 surgeries, was very stressful. Just to know that each one would happen at a certain stage was hard. And you knew you were going to go through it again, and you knew you were going to go through it again.
I have a pacemaker in my heart, and left of my heart doesn't work.
And at the same time that she was having Her second surgery, Chance was scheduled for open heart surgery, so I had 2 kids going in for open heart around the same time. You know, I had to hand them both over to somebody and say, I hope I see you back. We did genetic testing on everyone, and at that point there wasn't enough evidence or research, so they just said, you're fine, it's not genetic. So we met this fabulous cardiologist. He basically came to us and said, I think you have the genetic defect I've been studying all these years. I felt bad because this was my genetic defect that I passed on. He was actually the one who said, I think you need to go get seen by your doctor again. And I went to the electrophysiologist, and she said, you need a pacemaker right now because your heart is not functioning on its own.
I didn't really know where she was. Scared I'm gonna lose her.
Within a few months, I started feeling kind of weird, and I went in for my first appointment, and they said, your heart is being paced 100%. Your heart isn't beating anymore. He also told the kids they need to have pacemakers because they have the same gene.
I have to stay calm, so I can't freak out. So I'd go to my dog, and she'd calm me down. Echo, she is my service dog.
My family has 3 heart patients. We never thought I would be with somebody that had a heart problem.
My husband had a heart attack. It was a genetic predisposition.
Went on a jog, on my daily jog that I would take my daughter's service dog out. Started getting a little bit lightheaded, was down, dog was circling me, was barking at the neighbor's house. Got the attention of the man that lived in there. Went to the ER, they ran some blood tests, put a nice little stent in, 98% blocked widowmaker.
He's been the healthy one, the rock of the family. How is this even happening to us?
I have a family still. I couldn't imagine being here right now without a son, without a daughter, without a wife, or my kids growing up without a father.
CPR saves lives, saves all 4 of us.
We have been blessed with medical care that's beyond amazing. I'm grateful for medication that keeps us alive. My biggest fear for the future is that we won't continue to push medically, technologically. The research that is funded by the American Heart Association keeps our family alive.
Welcome back, Central Texas. We do hope you're enjoying your time with us. Leslie, we've heard some incredible testimony already, and we do want to thank the sponsors that have made today's event available.
Absolutely. We want to make sure we thank McLane Group, Baylor Scott & White, HEB, and Bill and Michelle DiGaetano. We're grateful for all that you're doing for the American Heart Association in Central Texas. Now, coming up, we have Dr. Margaret Happel. She is the staff cardiologist at Baylor Scott & White. She's going to help answer your most burning health questions.
So a lot of our new advancements have actually been in kind of the field of structural heart disease. So we're able to now replace valves or certain valves minimally invasively without doing the traditional open surgical approach. We're able to repair some of our valves if they're leaking, perhaps through a minimally invasive approach. And then our electrophysiology colleagues are implanting a Watchman device, which is a device that's implanted in patients with atrial fibrillation to help reduce the risk of stroke if they're not able to take oral anticoagulation. So the most common sign of a heart attack is chest pain. It's typically described as a chest pressure, chest tightness, or chest heaviness. It may radiate into the jaw, into the left arm. It may or may not be associated with shortness of breath, sometimes a feeling of impending doom, and even nausea. I would say that even though women typically do have chest pain, if a person is going to have a heart attack without symptoms, it is more likely to be a woman. So women need to be on the lookout for other, maybe more subtle signs, such as perhaps the jaw pain or just a feeling of shortness of breath. A diet low in saturated fat is important. So is increasing your activity level and some type of aerobic activity. And the reason that kind of goes back to the risk factors we just discussed. So saturated fats increase cholesterol, they can increase the inflammation in the body, and exercise, just 20 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise helps reduce blood pressure, thereby decreasing hypertension and decreasing your risk factors.
Perfect.
Because COVID many times does cause a pneumonia in people, it reduces the oxygen to both the body and the heart, which puts stress on the heart. And if the heart is already compromised, either from coronary artery disease or blockage, or perhaps the heart has a reduced pump function, congestive heart failure, then that really just stresses the heart out and can cause stress. What we're also seeing is that people that develop infections from COVID-19 are sometimes developing spontaneous clots. And these clots can go to the heart and cause a heart attack, or they can go to the brain and cause a stroke. And that's in the setting of no underlying heart disease. So that's a concern too. The COVID-19 virus can actually infect the heart and cause heart failure itself or an inflammation of the heart muscle itself. And so, yeah, there are several ways it can affect the heart. Well, I mean, if you look at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, if you look at what happened in New York, there was a gigantic increase in the incidence of sudden cardiac death because people were waiting at home, not contacting 911, or perhaps 911 couldn't get to them. So they do run the risk, if they are experiencing symptoms suggestive of a heart attack, of dying from the heart attack.
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine Whaley. I'm going to show you how to make a delicious heart-healthy recipe. It's mango avocado black bean salad, and it's perfect for lunch or for the upcoming summertime barbecue. We'll start off with the black beans. So I've just rinsed and drained these. These are Goya organic black beans, and they are delicious. I've also got some whole kernel corn, again from Goya. Just rinse and drain it. So sweet, it adds that perfect amount of flavor to the salad. Also a chopped up avocado, nice and fresh. I love all the colors in this salad. And we've got a couple of mangoes that are peeled up and chopped as well. Those go right in. It's a very easy recipe. You just chop it up and mix it all up. Also a red bell pepper. You can use a green or yellow bell pepper instead if you'd like. This one has been seeded and chopped up as well. Just look at all these colors already. They look beautiful in this bowl. And we've got a couple of green onions. Those are also chopped up. Go right in. This is optional if you like spice. Some jalapeno that's just been minced up. Of course, the seeds and ribs removed. But here's a little shortcut. I love Goya's canned pickled jalapenos as well. A great pantry item. You can substitute this instead, and it stays good in your pantry for a long time. So we'll just mix this up. Looks so pretty. I love the balance of textures and flavors. And it's colorful, so you know it's going to be heart healthy too. So see how easy that is? Our next step is to mix up the dressing. So I've got some Goya lime juice. I'm gonna just pour this right into my bowl right here. About 3 tablespoons, I'm eyeballing it. And we also have some black pepper and some chili powder that goes right in. And I have a little bit of Goya sea salt as well. It's going right in. And I have saved the best for last, the Goya olive oil. I love this stuff. I always keep an endless supply in my pantry. So a little bit of that goes in as well. Yummy. And I'm going to whisk it up. Mix it all up nicely right here. You can also put all these dressing ingredients into a mason jar and shake it up as well and save any leftover for another salad later. Super easy. And it is going right in to our chopped up ingredients. Just pour it right in and mix it around. And you know what, as I'm looking at this would actually be a great salsa for some whole wheat tortilla chips. Looks so good. So you can eat this as is, serve it as a side, or you can just put it right on top of some chopped romaine, which I have right here. So delicious, so good, can't wait to dig in. It is a colorful, tropical, perfect dish, just in time for summertime. Oh, I almost forgot, a little bit of cilantro on top for a little extra garnish. If you don't like cilantro, just leave it off. And taste test time. I got a big bite. So flavorful, so crunchy, and heart healthy.
Wow, we've heard some incredible stories. Leslie, some nutritious tips right there, making me hungry. I don't know about you.
I know, that sounded delicious.
Yeah, and it's going to be healthy, of course, great alternatives, all terrific reminders of the crucial mission of the American Heart Association. And again, you at home can get involved, or whether you're watching on the live stream on your phone or your mobile device, you can join our cause as well. We ask you to please take a moment, look at the numbers on the bottom of your screen there, and make a donation to the American Heart Association for yourself just by texting Temple HB. It's that simple, Temple HB to 41444. So that's 41 followed by 3 4s. That's all you got to do. It's that easy.
Yeah, and know that you're helping fund research for longer and healthier lives for kids as well, like CT, whose story you are going to hear right after this break.
The world calls me Carl, but only you call me Dad. And of all my jobs, it's the best one I've ever had. Listen to me, tell you what I think you'll grow up to be. No stage fright in the hot spotlight. CT, CT.
We actually met when we were very young in Waco, Texas, and we just knew that we wanted to be parents. My pregnancy was just what you would expect and what you hear about with your first time pregnancy. All the checkups that I went to turned out completely fine. It wasn't until actually he was born, 24 hours after, that we noticed that our perfectly healthy newborn baby just didn't seem perfectly healthy. There were just some things that were very obviously off. So I told them, right now, I need you guys to do whatever you do for newborns when something is wrong.
I was actually headed home to get the vehicle, and I was at the house there and got the call that something was wrong. So obviously I headed straight back.
The local hospital that he was born at, they did everything they could, started making phone calls to other children's institutions that were the closest to us at that point. And then all of a sudden, our baby was being transported.
They're getting him prepped for transport on the helicopter, and they've got him in this tube with all these wires and everything on him. I was unable to get on the helicopter with him at that time. The medical team was too large. And I looked down there, and at that moment, he grabbed my finger, and I knew that he was gonna land in that helicopter at that other hospital, and he was gonna be a fighter. I got a call on the way that said, you guys probably wanna hurry. It's not looking good.
When we finally got to the hospital in Fort Worth, my dad and my uncle had actually beat us there. And my first question to him whenever I rolled up in the wheelchair was, Dad, is my baby still alive? And he said, yes.
And we thought, okay, we'll get him through this cath and our baby's gonna be fine.
That was not the case whatsoever. That's when they did further testing. They told us that CT had a form of what's called hypoplastic left heart syndrome.
When you're told what your son has, and you Google what hypoplastic left heart syndrome is, you talk about taking the wind out of your sails. Like, you know that you're in for a rodeo. It's not
because there's
be
no sugarcoating or cushioning this diagnosis. So then that's when we sat down with cardiologists and figured out that CT would need a series of 3 major open heart surgeries. So we did everything that we could do to just nurture him, because they told us from the get-go, like, if you stay here for your baby and your baby knows you're here, that has so much more of an impact than you'll ever know. He will fight so much harder if he knows he has something to fight for.
We've made it through some of the hardest surgeries, one of which he even had a stroke. Now we've made it to the next surgery that's really helped us turn the corner. That gave us an opportunity to look at the future for his next surgery and where we wanted to be and where we needed to be. 8 months inpatient, 4 surgeries later, we land in Houston, and 27 days later, we take our son home for the first time.
Right. The CT that came home was just absolutely full of life. The future, no doubt, it depends on the things that the AHA works so hard to do. So we know that we're gonna live life to the fullest for as long as we possibly can and be so appreciative of the time that we have and we have had with CT.
While the future's unknown, it's very bright in my eyes. We've seen so many advancements. I know without a doubt that our future is gonna be advocating for these little guys.
Absolutely.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to One Heart, Bell County. We've already learned so much about the mission of the American Heart Association.
And we do want to say thank you to Wright Builders. They gave $500 for this amazing cause. Thank you so much for that. Now, coming up, we have another Ask the Doc segment, this time with Dr. Ramachandra Reddy, the Chief of Cardiovascular Surgery and co-director of the Cardiovascular Institute at Baylor Scott & White, to provide a little more insight into the world of cardiovascular health.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay. When you talk about high blood pressure and heart disease, just understand one thing. High blood pressure is a silent killer. Unless you measure your blood pressure, most of the time you're not aware of what your blood pressure is. You're not aware whether your blood pressure is sky high or low, unless you feel dizzy or you have a headache. But patients without symptoms are also affected in the same way as patients who have symptoms. So high blood pressure ends up causing more heart disease, so heart failure. It ends up causing more kidney disease, so kidney failure, causes more strokes, so cerebral problems. All of these things can be caused by high blood pressure, and therefore it's extremely important for blood pressure screening, and if you get identified as having high blood pressure, to make sure that you maintain a normal blood pressure and take your medications and get it checked on a frequent basis. That's a great question. The difference between heart disease and heart failure. Sometimes these things are used interchangeably. Heart disease encompasses a wide variety of things. Heart failure is a very specific entity where the heart muscle is not strong enough to pump as much blood as is required by the rest of the body. Now, this can be for a variety of reasons, but today we have techniques and medications to deal with heart disease in general, and particularly when it comes to heart failure, we have the assist devices, which are devices that can be put inside the patient and that can help the heart pump or even replace the function of the heart. And then we have transplantation, where we actually put in a new heart. So all of these things are available today, but heart disease encompasses a lot of things. Heart failure is a very specific entity where the heart cannot pump enough. I think it's a really valid fear. I think that two things have to be explained. One, that during the entire pandemic, the risk of getting COVID in a hospital is much less than the risk of getting COVID in the community. In fact, if you look at the healthcare community as a whole, the risk of transmission was well south of 1%. Very small percentage of healthcare individuals got it, though we were exposed the most. Out in the community, unfortunately, people take less precautions, and because of that, the risk is higher. So number one, you are safer in a hospital than you're out in the community. That's number one. Number two, it is true that you have a lot of company if you chose not to come to the hospital. Some people, you have a lot of company if you were among the people that waited too long. People waited long, and because of that, they came to us a lot sicker. I think that that's abating at this point as people are gaining more confidence, both with the vaccination as well as the news that the pandemic is on the downswing at this point in time. I would strongly encourage people to get medical attention when they need it and when they think they need it, not to wait, because the risks in the hospital are less than the risks out in the community.
Home is meant to be our safe place, but heart attacks and strokes don't stay home. Don't avoid the ER out of anxiety. Don't die of doubt. Don't stay silent, and don't stay home. If you have an emergency, call 911. When seconds count, the hospital is the safest place to be.
You know, the thing as far as prevention, I think, is prevention is always going to be the most important thing that we can address. The, in the last 20, 30 years, things have gotten really confusing. I would say probably since the 1980s, because I remember everything I learned in the 1980s about cardiovascular health, diet, exercise. And I would say a lot of that was wrong. And not because we were fools back then. We were working with limited information that we didn't know. And every decade, we get a little smarter and a little more information. And I think as a result of that, I want to emphasize diet is as critical as it's ever been. It's just what does diet mean? You know, common sense stuff that we learned in kindergarten, such as lean proteins, good fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and staying away from anything in a bag, anything in a box, anything in a can, and anything in a drive-through. You know, those are the things that contribute to our cardiovascular disease risk. Don't be afraid of eating a steak every once in a while. Definitely don't be afraid of eating chicken and fish and vegetables and eggs and a little dairy here and there. Those are the things that we were meant to eat and our bodies know how to process. It's the stuff that we get in all those boxes, bags, cans, and drive-throughs that really insult and cause problems with our bodies. And there's really no better investment you can make in your body than giving it good food. Because otherwise, all we're going to end up doing is giving it nasty medicines later. And I would much rather put a good diet in my mouth than an expensive medicine.
Hey everyone, I'm Jocko Sims. You might know me as Dr. Reynolds on the show New Amsterdam. You know, I've learned quite a bit playing a doctor. For example, I've learned that when someone is having a cardiac arrest, every minute counts, and survival depends on immediately receiving CPR. Did you know that 70% of cardiac arrests happen in homes? And with many of us spending more and more time at home these days, it's all the more important to know what to do in a cardiac emergency. Let me show you a technique that I learned from the American Heart Association. It's called hands-only CPR. It involves 2 easy steps that can save the life of someone you love. Here's how it goes. Hey guys. So if you see a teen or an adult collapsed and unresponsive, first call 911 or ask someone to. Second, you want to push hard and fast in the center of the chest. Now, you might be asking how hard and how fast. That's a good question. You want to go 2 inches deep and about as fast as an upbeat song like Staying Alive by the Bee Gees or Crazy in Love by Beyonce. Here we go. Now the key is to keep your arms straight. You don't want to go bending your elbows like that, right? Here we go. Let's run through that one more time. If you see a teen or an adult collapsed and unresponsive, what's the first thing you do? That's right, you call 911. Second, you push hard and fast in the middle of the chest, just like I showed you. Thank you, American Heart Association and Children's Hospital Los Angeles, for collaborating to bring this important message to the public. Remember, you could be the difference for someone you love.
My name is Haley Griffiths. My husband, Judd, and I live in Waco with our 8-year-old twin daughters, JoJo and Caroline, and our 7-year-old son, Rhett. I am 36 years old, and I have congestive heart failure. On December 9th, 2019, after several months of ignoring symptoms, usually chalking it up to anxiety or stress, I found myself in the emergency department at Ascension Providence Hospital here in Waco. I was shocked, but not 100% surprised. Just one day before, when I was Googling a list of my symptoms, a little graphic popped up that said signs and symptoms of heart failure. I checked off every one of those boxes. In this case, I still wonder why I didn't believe what I was reading. I asked more questions, specifically what was my risk going to be when I left the hospital at the end of that week. And his answer hit me like a ton of bricks. Sudden cardiac death. When I left the hospital at the end of that week, I did so wearing a wearable defibrillator that would shock me back to life in the event that my heart stopped. I also left with a handful of new medications, fluid restrictions, sodium restrictions, lifestyle changes, and I had to promise to monitor my weight, blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen levels daily. And I was enrolled in something called the CHF clinic at the hospital, where I would check in weekly. It was like a totally new life. On December 8th, 2020, 365 days after my original diagnosis, Dr. Sean Skeen implanted a tiny device in my pulmonary artery. This device helps me manage my CHF on a daily basis and will hopefully help me stay out of the hospital for as long as possible. My day-to-day life and what I imagine my future to look like are completely different than I would have described to you just 2 years ago. But thanks to amazing doctors, fantastic medications, and research made possible by the American Heart Association, I have a lot of hope for what my future can look like with CHF. At this point, I am just trying to take it one day at a time. I'm listening to my doctors, taking my medications, and trying to enjoy each and every moment with my husband and kids.
My world, our world, may keep changing, but I'm not going to let the days blur together anymore. This is my awakening, my call to bounce back, to thrive. I stand for those who make up the fabric of my life, where I come from and where I'm going. I stand for my community and for myself. My mission is to change the word challenge to opportunity. And my goal is to live without limitations. Let's make a declaration together. Our future has no boundaries, no limits, no ceilings. I'm opting in, signing up, and using my voice. Today is the day I recommit to my shine, to digging deep for inspiration, to reaching out when I need help and when I can give it, to ensure that all of our voices are heard and the person behind each voice is served. For myself, for my community, for our health, and for so much more, because my promise is to live fierce every day. There is strength in possibility, strength in numbers, and new opportunities are going to keep on coming. With the American Heart Association by my side, I'm ready for them, because we live fierce.
It'll come out in a minute, I think.
And a reminder, it's going to take all of us in this relentless fight. After all, there's nothing more unstoppable than men and women united and working together in a common cause. And we hope that our special today has really shed a lot of light on heart disease, and the American Heart Association can count on you to be an ambassador in our community and right here in Temple.
And remember, you still have time to join us in helping make sure people have longer, healthier lives. You can donate by texting Temple HB to 41444. Again, thank you for joining us for this year's One Heart Bell County.
Have a great day.
Wow, that was great. Thank you for joining this afternoon. And remember, there's still time to donate. Text Temple HB to 41444. Again, text Temple HB to 41444.
A big thank you to Elizabeth and Drayton McLane of the McLane Group for hosting this live event for the American Heart Association. We really appreciate everything they do for our community. And on behalf of myself, Bill,
and Michelle,
we appreciate everything you've done today. And remember to continue to text. There's plenty of time. And thank you on behalf of the American Heart Association.